Hello, my name is Kendra Abercrombie, and I am the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Manager for the Commission on Professionalism. Welcome to Reimagining Law. Today, I am so excited to be joined by Katie Liss, who among many of her titles is also the founder and chair of the Task Force Against Sexual Harassment, and Lauren Tuckey, among many of her titles, is the Women's Bar Association of Illinois' president. In honor of Women's History Month today, we will be discussing equality in the workplace, and we have a lot to discuss. Before we jump in, I'd like to remind all of our viewers to like this video and subscribe to our channels for new episodes. So jumping right into it today, thank you both for joining us, and I'm going to jump right in with the first question for Lauren. Lauren, data from our survey on professionalism of Illinois attorneys found an almost 10% increase in the number of respondents who said they had been the target of sexist comments in 2021 versus in 2014. How has the environment for recognizing and reporting sexist behaviors changed?
I think in our culture today, especially from the Me Too movement, I think women are less apt to tolerate that kind of behavior and are more apt to have the courage to report it and have it addressed. So I don't know whether that number is a true increase or whether because of our culture, whether people are just more comfortable reporting it.
Thank you. Katie, kind of going back to the survey on professionalism, 41% of practitioners who responded said their workplace doesn't conduct sexual harassment training or that they were unaware if their workplace conducts these trainings. How can organizations not only improve awareness if they do conduct these trainings, or how can they start, or where can they start to implement these programmings and trainings into their companies and organizations?
Sure, thanks, Kendra. First, I'd like to say that this has been a requirement in Illinois for all employers to provide this type of training since 2020. So hopefully we start seeing a better change in those numbers going forward. The Illinois Human Rights Act requires this type of training, and employers can get a sample type of training from the state of Illinois. They have an online PDF, if you will, that employers can go off of, but that should be just the base. There should be a lot more information that is explained throughout the training. So you can either get it through the state of Illinois, or you could go through a third party. I know the Chicago Bar Association provides trainings twice a year for all of our members, but there's also other third parties that provide this type of training. So it's out there. It's just a matter of looking for it and getting it to your employees.
Thank you. So Lauren, the Women's Bar Association of Illinois has been working to ensure paid family leave in Illinois. Can you talk a little bit about this and why it's just as important in the legal profession to have policies like this in place?
Absolutely. At the Women's Bar, we feel a burden and a duty because we are in a position to fight, and we have the resources to fight and on behalf of women in Illinois, that we should absolutely do it. We hired a lobbyist for the first time this year. They're incredible, and we're making some genuine headway. And the reason this is important, I mean, first of all, the United States is a significant outlier. There are 181 countries that offer paid leave on a national level. The United States and 10 other countries are the only ones in the world who do not. In comparison, Europe, a lot of European companies offer a full year. Some offer a year and a half. And the way that this patchwork in America of different policies affects women is it actually disproportionately affects a lot of minorities and lower income people. And of course, the burden falls on women. The women are the ones who, if they can't handle childcare, they usually are the ones to be like, okay, well, I'll stay home, or it just makes sense. Or, I mean, the burden and the consequences so often fall on women. And of course, the data is there that granting women paid parental leave actually helps our economy significantly. The data supports this entirely. And it's time. I mean, we're falling on the wrong side of history here. I think in 10 years, this will be a nationwide policy.
I hope that is the case in 10 years. As you said, I've been familiar with some of the policies as well, as I have friends who live in other countries. And it's definitely interesting to see the differences here in the US to other countries when it comes to maternity and paternity leave. So I definitely hope to see those changes in the future as well. Katie, recently I actually was able to attend a joint collaborative event with Flash and a few other organizations, actually this past week, where we really talked about women and sexual harassment in the workplace. Can you talk about the work, more work that the CBA's Task Force on Sexual Harassment and Assault and Flash have been doing, not only to promote awareness, but events and programs that they have been putting on for the general public?
Absolutely. So FLASH stands for the Force of Lawyers Against Sexual Harassment, and it's a coalition of attorneys who are getting the word out about sexual harassment to kind of destigmatize that issue. It's a very important topic, and as Lauren alluded, more people are coming forward, but there still are a lot of cases that are not reported. I would go so far as to say the vast majority. So both through FLASH and through the CBA's task force, one of the goals is to help educate and to address this issue with the community. So Flash just put on, along with the CBA's Alliance for Women and others, the Women's Bar Association, I believe, was also a co-sponsor, Lauren. They put on a program with the women's lawyer on guard in the ISBA to address this very important issue. There is more programming. Flash is coming to present at one of the law schools as well to talk to law students about this issue. And it can only, go on from there. So we're still in the very beginning stages of both Flash and the task force, but education is one of the components of both of those groups and organizations. Another one is to review statutes and laws to see if there should be change, and to address that if we do need to bring it to the legislature and address that going forward. Another one is to provide resources for individuals and for firms to make sure that there is appropriate training, to make sure that there is some sort of agreement or a policy in place at a firm if sexual harassment is addressed. A lot of firms, especially small and solo firms, do not have those types of policies. And solos should have it too, because it impacts paralegals, clerks, everyone who is employed there. So this definitely should be a policy in place, and hopefully with the guidance of these two organizations and then also others throughout the legal community, we can address those issues going forward.
I think, and I know I brought the program up that you just mentioned, one of the things that really stuck with me from that program is a lot of the knowledge that you guys essentially informed us about from the surveys that have been going on. And one of the numbers that stuck with me was about 86% of women don't report anything at all. And of that 86%, 30% think about reporting it, but don't, because they are afraid of what the fallout of actually reporting it would be. And it was just, I don't know, it kind of hit me in the chest a little bit to see that number in black and white, to see that these things are happening, but traditionally women have been afraid. And I think organizations like, the ones you founded and started are going to be able to assist in pushing that movement forward to get people, more women specifically, more comfortable coming forward about those events. So definitely, one, thank you for that event. That was so amazing on Friday, but thank you both for the work that you're doing to move these initiatives forward.
I don't know that a lot of listeners may know that, Katie's organization and my own organization, part of the value of them is being able to connect with a mentor, somebody who can hold your hand through the process, down to, this just happened, this is my boss, let's talk through the options. What does this look like? And just also not just logistically, but the emotional support, I think, is so important for women. And I think that if more women were involved in organizations like ours, that number would not be the same, that there would be way more reporting. And frankly, reporting shines a spotlight on this behavior. And I can't help but think that more reporting just leads to less conduct like this, because I think people will think twice, and they will understand, how black and white wrong this type of behavior is, and that they will absolutely be called out.
Lauren, I could not agree more with you. I definitely believe that. I know that there's consequences for reporting. However, the more this is called out, the more things will change. So yes, there may be some negative consequences, but I feel if we can all join forces in having each other's backs when someone is reported, and if there are questions going through the process, the better that we will be as a legal profession and as people in general. I think that's so important. And one other thing I do want to mention, on Flash's website, there's a pledge that individuals and firms can take to show that you support people going through this process, and you support the eradication of sexual harassment. So I can't encourage people enough to stand up and show your support by taking that pledge.
Thank you. And I definitely hope that our listeners go and take a look at that pledge and join in on this. Thank you, Katie and Lauren, so much for joining us today. And to our viewers, please stay tuned, because we do have part 2 of this discussion coming soon. We were able to get through so many good topics today, but we have so much more to discuss. So stay tuned for part 2.